habe ja schon angekündigt, jetzt geht es weiter mit virtuellen Lernräumen. Und ich habe mal die KI um einen Impuls gebeten zu dem Thema und Folgendes kam raus. Virtuelle Lernräume dürfen nicht nur digitale Kopien von Klassenzimmern sein, sie müssen neue Räume für Begegnungen, Kreativität und kulturellen Austausch schaffen. Wie können wir digitale Bildung so gestalten, dass sie nicht nur Wissen vermittelt, sondern auch Verbindungen stärkt über Länder, Disziplinen und Zeitzonen hinweg? Und weil unser nächster Speaker auch wieder Englisch spricht, das Ganze jetzt nochmal auf Englisch. Virtual learning spaces must not just be digital copies of classrooms, they must create new spaces for creativity and culture exchange. How can we design digital education so that it not only imparts knowledge, but also connection across countries, disciplines, and time zones? And I could imagine that the next two speakers also asked themselves exactly this question. Keith Rinaldi, Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and Simon Büttner, Mitarbeiter vom Media Lab und studentischer Mitarbeiter. Hi! Genau, ein Stück noch nach da. Ein Stück noch darüber. Genau. I have one little question. How did you both came together? Because you are from the University of Rhode Island.
Yeah, we actually planned a little festival together last November. So I basically met him through my job in the Media Lab, but we're going to talk about that later on in more detail. So.
Yep, yes we are, yeah. But we met because of an idea. That's why we met.
That's great news. So I'm looking forward to hear your idea. The stage is yours.
Beautiful. We have the stage. You ready?
Please.
Okay. Well, I'm ready. Good morning, afternoon. My name is Keith Rinaldi. I'm from Rhode Island. It is the smallest state in America, and my joke is we have the longest name, though, so good for us. So I represent the University of Rhode Island. I'm going to talk a little bit about our relationship with TU Braunschweig. We're going to talk a little bit about our work together. But first, I just want to tell you a quick history of myself because it's relevant to the work we do. I had a windy road in my career. I was a mental health therapist. I was a photographer. I was an athletic coach. I was a politician. I was a deep sea fisherman. Yes, believe it or not. I went back to school and got a master's in product innovation because the Da Vinci Center, VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, housed 4 different departments in one. And I tell you this story because there's a thread that weaves itself together. And it's all about understanding this human experience and setting conditions for success, which I believe we're starting the groundwork for right now.
We're trying to.
We're trying to. Yeah. So on the screen you see Fellowship, Advancing Global Collaboration in Digital Innovation. One of the products of our work is me being here at TU Braunschweig for a month's time to develop a joint virtual campus. How are we going to do that? We're going to talk about that a little bit. But me being here, me starting to experience and document what I'm experiencing, finding the people that want to collaborate, developing relationships, and bringing that back to the US to continue our deep relationships is part of this fellowship and why I'm very excited to be here. Quick, URI and TU Braunschweig are celebrating 30 years of working together in collaboration. It started with engineering, the engineering department, and it's slowly grown. The College of Education now houses a Fulbright Fellow right now. We also have some work with MBA program. And now we have a new collaboration with Media Lab, which is what brings us here together. And I reference the 30-year relationship because it takes a lot of trust and it takes understanding people on a deeper level in order to collaborate in a realm of education. And when we're trying to transfer knowledge and also set the conditions for creativity and new products, new services, new types of learning. I'm going to highlight our first ever Cyber Festival.
Right.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that today. We're going to actually show you and walk you through the platforms. Some of you might have seen this platform before, but we're going to talk about some specifics and also maybe some future development. But our first Cyber Festival was a prototype. We were seeing if it would work. One of our entrepreneurial tactics, make something that's very cost effective, get it in front of customers, students, and see what happens. We had good attendees. We had a lot of interdisciplinary presentations, which we'll speak about more. And the important part was that we were able to showcase our talents, both entrepreneurship, art, and technology. So here we are. One of the tools that I'm utilizing is COIL, our collaborative online international learning. The COIL is just a set of toolbox. It's a nice set of tools in order for us to find better ways to have a cultural exchange, but with intent, not by accident. We want to set conditions for success. We want to be intentional about what we're learning from each other so that we can increase that likelihood of serendipity, that likelihood of creativity, that likelihood of collaboration. So without further ado, I'm going to now turn it over to Simon.
Right. So my CV isn't nearly as impressive as Keith's. I'm still an enrolled student here at TU Braunschweig and also at the University of Arts here. Yeah, I'm a major in media studies, and maybe just a quick word about that. Why media studies? So after I graduated high school, I was kind of, you know, flowing around, didn't really know what to do. And I was really interested in movies, though. It was just the medium that spoke to me. So I chose to enroll in media studies, and then I kind of dug it. And during during my studies, I kind of got fascinated and moved along and got to kind of this fascinating theme of reciprocity of media, which in easy terms means how do like societal narratives that already exist influence on media, and how does media, which can be anything really, like, I don't know, newspapers and movies, TV shows, whatever you can think of, literature, how media then again influences the people that consume it. And it's kind of this, well, circle, basically. And I'm really interested in where exactly meaning begins to exist, basically. Right. So during my undergraduate studies, which was actually last year, I attended a class in the Media Lab right next door, across the hall, which was the Spring School, which you can see here. And this was basically an accelerator concept. So it's a very typical thing in like startup culture, I think. But we basically sat down with 30 people for an entire week. So it was a block seminar. We spent 8 hours a day in there and just kind of conceptualizing this festival that we were going to host in November. And I think the spring school was in like April or May. So we knew this festival would really come into reality, so it wasn't just like theoretical work or anything. And we knew it would be a collaboration with the University of Rhode Island. So I guess the challenge really was coming up with a program that would work with simultaneous attendees both in Braunschweig and in Rhode Island. But the bigger aim and also, I guess, the question was about, Keith already said, cultural exchange. So in what ways do our expectations and our knowledge of media and media tech differ, or how are they alike? And how can we be respectful with like that pre-existing knowledge and stuff to each side, despite our differences, make it work out for everyone involved. So.
Yeah. And it's important to note as well that before the spring school, Stefan and Karina, they flew out to URI about last year, and they were able to experience the equinox, and they were able to experience our university. And during our time together, we also had a collaborative online cultural exchange where we grouped students in different rooms, both Germany and US, and they started discussing their experience at a university first, and then they started discussing what would you like to learn from each other? You know, not what topic, not English, maybe it is, but what do you want to know personally? Show me something about who you are as a person. And that's where we started this work, and I think it's the most important question, because it asks the question, what are you curious about? You know, instinctually, what do you want to learn about? That, for us, is the cornerstone of what we're building together. Right. Building something based on interest.
Right. And since the festival was designed for students, you guys came up with a pretty smart idea with just handing over well, the thinking process to other students. So students made a festival for students, by students for students. I think that is also one of the reasons the end product was as successful as it was.
Of course. Progress to next screen, please. Looks like we talked all the energy right out of the... Phil, can you go to the next screen? Perfect. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
For students, by students.
Right. So I guess one of the major learnings we had is listen to your students. And yeah, I guess its success really showed like the value of involving different, so the success of the festival showed the value of that highlighted effective education. So we generated a ton of ideas, and some were just too ambiguous to run with. And since the festival was designed to be appealing to students and easy to use for any age group, it was important for us to have a platform that each side could collaborate on with from each side of the world. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what you're seeing right here, maybe people have seen GatherTown platforms before, but Stefan, he actually found a company that existed both in Germany and the US, So that was beneficial. And we used this platform for people to gather and show off their content. And we started with things like a film festival. So what you're seeing here is a URI film major, and we watched the films. We watched films from Germany, we watched films from the US. And one of the most important aspects is that we created digital assets in this platform that are going to live on. And as you see here, we have a photo gallery where we had a world-renowned photographer do a keynote, but then we had our students talk about their experience, their expression. And as far as a cultural exchange, we thought this was a great place to start because we've all heard the phrase, an image is worth 1,000 words. But when there's language gaps, we still want something that we can bite into visually, or maybe another kind of experience. But this showed a perspective that we wouldn't otherwise be able to share together if it was purely academic. Now, the academics will be infused into understanding our expression because we learned what type of equipment people used, what kind of technical aspects, what kind of software. All of the technical and academic aspects of this interaction were brought out from the medium that they used. So it inevitably became both a showcase of expression and an academic interchange.
So, and as you can see now, we are walking up to the auditorium, which, how it works is basically there's a stage in the center, and you were able to see that the platform has got some features of like Zoom platforms involved, like webcam and a voice chat and stuff. And how it works usually is there's a proximity chat. So as you walk up to other members or players, you can hear them. And this main stage, what it basically is, kind of, well, works around that. So if you enter the stage, which is the blue circle right there, everybody can hear you. But what's really cool is that the audience, like in real life, kind of, can still talk to each other and, well, walk up to each other and just use the voice chat, as you guys in the audience can just, I don't know, whisper to each other without interrupting our talk. Right, and
which is an important factor.
right, yeah.
That one of the reasons why we enjoy this platform and experimenting with this platform is because it gives you more of a hybrid reality and virtual experience.
Yeah.
There's still some human aspects to movement within this platform that are crucial in order to have good collaboration, because you have many opportunities to, yes, you can go to a private room and you can talk one-on-one without interruption or a class setting. And in reality, you're always able to leave that setting and maybe go see something else. This platform helps to make that hybrid experience more of a reality. And what we've created is a simple experiment, an MVP, a minimal viable product that we want to develop and expand on, but we want to develop and expand on it with your voices and your feedback. We want people to experiment with that, which is actually part of my fellowship, is I am going to interview people and have them jump on the platform. Student, could you use this? Would you use this? What would you change? What would you want to see? Educator, could you see yourself interacting with people in this arena? How? What colors? What things do you want to interact with? And there's two important aspects to this I want to make sure I highlight. Again, having those digital assets, they're showcases of projects that students and faculty are doing. The platform will exist like a living campus where you can go on and wander and go into that for something more formal. It's going to be both. But the idea is that is a low barrier of entry to having more of a global economic or economy. So that's the idea. And when I ran it past our alumni foundation, they got very excited about the idea of, you know what? It's really expensive to name a building after yourself, isn't it? But what if you named a digital room after your company? Ooh, that sounds fun. But then it's not just about the money, because it's about the resources. Hi, I'm an alumni. I want to place myself here. This is my business too. How can I be a resource for you, student Simon?
Right, so what we were trying to do in November with GatherTown has basically come into reality, at least for us two. I think that's really cool. And just one more thing about the platform GatherTown. I mean, we tried to build this festival for students, and I think it's a major part that we found this platform that is kind of relatable and not just, that doesn't just have this industrial look like Zoom or something has. So the entire aesthetic of GatherTown is obviously this 8-bit Pokemon style aesthetic that I guess many of us can relate more to than, you know, how Zoom rooms look like. They're not pretty, they're functional, but they're not pretty. And I think this was, I mean, GatherTown was a pretty good step in between.
I agree. Yeah. The important part is that this project is co-created.
Yeah.
Right? Students, adults, well, we're all adults, but students, faculty, staff, these decision-making processes, the process of building this together is just as important as the product itself, because we want our students to have a voice in their education and how they interact with their education and to build more of this global economy. Virtual internationalization is what URI wants to focus on, because with virtual internationalization, not everybody can afford to leave a country, but we still want to have that cultural exchange. And the theory is that if you have more platforms where you can meet on a lower barrier of entry, you have more opportunities to interact globally, and that improves your chances of making a real connection and lowers the barrier of entry to leave your country. For example, I met Simon. He said, this is hypothetical, goes, oh, guess what? My family has an extra room above their garage. Keith, I know you can't afford to live here for a month, but my family is open to having you stay. But we had that connection because we worked on a project together. We knew each other's family. It's setting those connections on a human level that is the most important for this project, in my opinion. So we are actually running right on time. Good for us.
Yeah. Spot on.
Spot on. Good job, man. Yeah. This is all he's doing. And before I kind of wrap up, there's just two things that I wanted to highlight. We did this, oops, thank you. We did this certificate, and it was fun because you have a digital certificate, you can use it for your resume, use it in LinkedIn, but there's also certain qualifications that you're able to obtain, some proficiencies you're able to obtain through showcasing your work, showcasing yourself. And whenever I asked a student if they like to be on an international stage, even this platform, they were excited, okay? At least students in the US, they get excited about saying, would you like to interact internationally? So I wanted just to make sure everybody knew that as well. Before we move on to our ask, you good?
I think so.
Okay. So while we're leaving some time for question and answer, we'd also like to take this opportunity. one more. There we go. We'd like to take this opportunity to do some customer discovery. You can ask questions. You can ask whatever you want. And we're trying to solicit some feedback. If you might think about one of these prompts, it would be helpful for us. And guess what? I'm going to take notes. So if you were so daring as to offer your opinion or an idea, we would be much obliged. As you can see, these are some prompts, but do you see yourself utilizing a platform? Do you see yourself wanting to interact globally? Do you see yourself wanting to share your work and collaborate? And that's the question that we're putting out for you. So without further ado, thank you for listening to our talk, and we hope we get some feedback. Thank you.
Yeah.